Hey everyone, this is me, the Untitled Viking, and this is Valhalla. Valhalla, as you can probably guess, is a Viking-themed game, and yes, I am predisposed towards Viking-themed games, as I am mostly Scandinavian here in the upper Midwest where I live. This is a dice game in which each person, up to 6 players, 2 to 6 people, and there's a solo game as well, which I did play, and it's still fun, and it still gathered the same kind of feel that I got from this game. And this is not so much a push your luck dice game. There is a lot of dice, and you are rolling them and re-rolling them and re-rolling them. What you're doing with the dice is you're using them to activate the different warriors from these different tribes that will fight for you against the other players. Ragnarok is coming, the end of the world is coming, and each of the players is a Jarl, basically a Viking king, that is trying to secure their rightful spot next to Odin in the feast halls in Valhalla, where they can live out the rest of their days fighting during the day in glorious battle, and then drinking and eating all night long, and then just redoing it over and over again, and you know, the joyous end of times, if you will. So, well, I mean, if that's your thing, I guess. But the game is played by, on your turn, you'll take an action, and you won't necessarily be attacking every time. You might be just bolstering your strength and recruiting new Viking warriors, but you'll be doing different actions that will allow you then to have a band of warriors that will then defend against attacks that you're being attacked, and also being sent out to attack as well. The game has a ton of expansion content, some of which I believe, it's been unlocked and is all going to be part of the game that is being funded in Kickstarter right now. So, I did appreciate very much just how much stuff is going on in the game, and plus it's expansion material that in many cases it's just, hey, add these cards to this giant deck of cards that already is giant. It doesn't really change the rules much, and I do like that. It just kind of twists the game up a little bit and offers some different cool things, like adding, Thor to the game, or adding, Loki's trickery to the game, or adding, like, the Dwarves to the game, or Fire Giants to the game, things like that, which I thought was cool. I'll talk about the expansion material later, but, I mean, let's now jump in. I'm going to show you how the game is played. It's actually pretty straightforward, but there are some cool little tricks and tricksy stuff, as my friend Kevin Burkhartsmeyer says, that you'll have to keep yourself on your toes to make sure that you are, like, the most glorious Viking Jarl, and you will take away the victory. But, alright, cool. Let's learn how to play Valhalla. As I said, there is a lot of expansion material that is going to come with Valhalla, but let me show you how, like, just the base game is played, and then I will go over some of the expansion material when I conclude this video. But I've gone ahead and set up the game. This would be like if we're playing a 6-player game, and I'll explain why you can tell that by the way I've set this up so far in just a few seconds. But I've just taken 2 of the player boards here, and I've got the players like Jarls that are going to be running their particular warriors that are trying to get into Valhalla. Now, you get a ton of these Jarls. I mean, this is a lot of different cards. So, the replayability, obviously, and that's something I'm going to say over and over again because of all the different material that you're going to get with this game. The replayability of Valhalla is through the roof because of the different options. Just so you can kind of tell the difference between these two, and I did pick these 2 on purpose just because of their special abilities that they have. Once again, variable player abilities. I love that in games. And as you know, these are just ways that you can break the rules in some way when you're playing. This guy, Sigurd, he has, this little symbol here. What that means is that when he uses his player ability, he can either use this one or that one. He can't use both. And so this one says, once per battle, you may flip 1 axe. Like, that's one of the, you can see the dice that are there. I'll show you the dice in just a second. 1 axe in your pool to any chosen side. So you can just, change one of the dice. It's kind of a wild then for you. Or, if you want to, you can discard 1 card, and once per battle you may discard 1 axe and add 2 additional dice to your pool. So, one of those cool little abilities. Normally you only get 6 dice, but you can see there are access to 3 extra dice that you'll be able to use. Possibly, as long as the other player doesn't use them before you, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Now here we have Osver, and Osver has this little plus. And what that means is that he can actually activate both of his abilities as long as he manages to fulfill this part of the what needs to be done. So here it says once per battle you may flip one spear in your pool to any chosen side. A lot of what Sigurd has here. But then it says if you had at least 4 cards in your hand before the battle, add 2 to your strength for each die that has a spear on it you place on this Jarl. So you could take those dice, place them on this card, and then you'd be able to add 2 to your strength. I don't even remember which one was which, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go ahead and put those there. Alright, so once you have your Jarl, what's going to happen then is that you're going to take this giant deck of cards here, and just so you can see what these are, these cards will either be these Viking warriors, which will have the different activations that they have to have. So like you can see, there's like a shield and a spear, and that would activate it. He's got a strength of 3, and if you can send him to Valhalla, he'll be worth 2 points at the end of the game. Or you'll get cards that will be these battle tactics cards. And you can just see here, it's like you may perform 2 rerolls with any dice from your dice pool. And that's just like another way to break the rules. And those are the 2 types of cards. Well, the first thing you're going to do is, when the game starts, is that you're going to flip a number of these cards over +1, and you have to have warriors on these cards, and everybody's going to pick one. So I'm just going to put these down. So that's a warrior. That's a battle tactics. That's no good. Put that aside. Put another warrior. Warrior. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more. All right. So there we got 7 warriors. And this is, like I said, it's 6-player. If you're playing a 3-player game, you'd have 4 cards. 2-player game, you'd have 3 cards. So pretty straightforward, understandable. And you take any battle tactics cards you have, and you put them back in like so. So then, starting with whoever the first player is, and the actual first player rule says whoever has the longest beard gets to be first player. So I like that a lot. But whoever would be like the last player gets to pick their Viking first, and then it goes around. Now I want to show you some of the special abilities. Some of these are these ice giants, and you can tell they're ice giants because they have this little kind of like a light blue color to them. You'll notice that to activate this one, it has to be 3 dice that are equal to each other, so they have to have all the same side. But ice giants have this ability right here that if you send an ice giant to battle, you get to take 1 die away from the defender. You have to be attacking, but you get to take 1 die from the defender. So normally defenders get 6 dice to start with. You get to take one of those dice away and they don't get to use them. So that's like a special power that ice giants have. And here you can see, this guy, same exact power. Now it doesn't matter how many ice giants you could send 4 ice giants into battle, but it would only affect 1 die. Alright, some of these have, like this guy, he is from the clan yellow, but he hates clan red and clan green. So if you attack somebody that has a clan red or clan green in his battle, he gets +3 strength because he hates them so much. And here we have this one where it's if he has, so if they have another a yellow, because they're allied with them, if you have a yellow in your battle, it gets +2 strength. Or if they have 2, then you get +5 strength. And so then you can see there's these different activations that are on the side and like so forth. And there's one other one, and maybe I'll dig through here and I'll show you one here in a second. But there's one other one that has like a shield wall ability. So the more you have of shields and stuff, you can have more like strength, if you will. But anyway, I'm just gonna take one, and I'm just gonna take one randomly. So like we'll take this guy, we'll put that guy here. Maybe we'll take this ice giant, put him there. All right, so cool. So and the rest of these get taken, and the one that doesn't, you put them in the discard pile like so. And these would be in somebody else's hand. Now, after you've done that, each person is going to get 7 cards. And what they're going to do is they're going to go through those 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm not really going to look at these, but what people will do then is they'll go through their 7 cards and they'll pick 2 to discard, and they put those on the discard pile. So I'm just going to go ahead and here, why don't I show these to you so like you can kind of see what we have here. So he got a really good one actually.
as far as like the strength goes. Like if you can fill that guy out, he's going to be worth 3 points, and he's going to have an 8 strength in battle. That's obviously really good. This, take 2 additional dice, roll them, pick one, add to your dice pool. Pretty good battle tactic card. So let's go ahead and ditch this measly 2, and let's go ahead and ditch. Oh man, well let's go ahead and ditch this one. So, and we get rid of those 2, and then these are put face down. Then everybody reveals them at the same time, and I'm like, let's just see what we got here for these for the other player, so to speak. Wow, he got a 8 as well. That's awesome. Let's see here. 2, 1. Well, I'm already going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of... Oh, there's that shield that I mentioned before. So there, I don't have to dig through and find one for you. Let's go ahead and get rid of these 2. Because I've already got that green out there. Maybe I can put those together. And so then these would discard at the same time. And we both would have our hand. All right, perfect. So now we're able to start the game. So whoever the first player is, and let's just say it's this player right here. On your turn, you have 4 different actions, and then you have an automatic action that you get. So the 4 different actions you have are you can go ahead and take one of your warriors from your hand and place it down on your board. If you want to, you can place 2 warriors from your hand onto your board, but they have to have a total of only 3 of the weapons on the side. And you can see that's not really an option for me because all of my guys have lots of weapons. But, you know, if you wanted to like get a lot of people out there quickly, you could do that. So maybe you take him and you place him down like so. And, you know, remember though, just because you have these 4 symbols, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get those symbols when you roll the dice. Battle is, a chaotic thing. So that would be one option. You can attack, or you can basically do the same action that you automatically get an action, where you draw 2 cards from the deck and you pick one, and you automatically get to do that in your turn. So let's go ahead and draw 2 cards. And we get add 2 to your strength, which is never a bad deal. Or if you discard 1 die from your pool, add 3 to your strength. So, I'm going to take just the guaranteed +2, and then we're going to go ahead and discard that. So you can see your actions are pretty standard and pretty straightforward. It's the battles when you're going to actually run into trouble. So let me just kind of set up so we can have these players, ready to roll here. Let's go ahead and we'll put him down, and I'm gonna flesh these 2 sides out like so we can actually see, a full-fledged battle. So we're gonna put him and him, and so I don't have any special abilities except for the Ice Giants. The Ice Giants are the only special abilities that are going to come into play. But so now let's say both these players have taken some time to build up their strength, and now they're going to go ahead and do their attack. So we're going to go ahead and say Sigurd is the person attacking, and Osfer is the person that's defending. So as the attacker, we're going to go ahead and take our 6 dice, and the 6 dice have this, which is the bad. No, you don't want to get this. It can't be used by anybody, even the Ice Giants. It can't be used by, even though if you rolled like 3 X's, you can't use those to activate the Ice Giants. But you have a sword, you have a bow, you have a shield, you have a spear, and you have an axe. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to match up with the results. So if we can get 2 swords, a bow, and a shield, we can get this guy going, which would be 8 strength, which would be awesome. Now remember, I can always, once per battle, I can flip one of my axes to any side I want. Or I can discard 1 axe and add 2 additional dice to my pool. So let's see what I get here. And you are allowed rerolls, and I'll tell you how that works here in just a second. So let's just see what we get here. I have a sword. I have 2 swords. That's awesome. That's good. That's good. So I can take those 2 swords, and what I can do is I could place them on this particular. And you don't have to fill them out in order. You can just, take it step by step. So, just keep that in mind. But I think because of the fact that I have a shield, do I have a bow? No, I don't have a bow. I was going to say I have a shield and a spear, but I don't have the bow that would activate her. I don't have an axe, and I have no bows at all. So that's crummy. I could take all 3 swords and I can activate this ice giant because that would be all equal. But I really, really want to get this guy. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take these 3 swords, like those 2 swords. I'm going to take this shield. And man, if I just rolled an axe, I could go ahead and I'd be able to change it over to a bow. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a reroll. So I'm going to take 1 die. And I'm going to get rid of that die, so that's gone now. I've discarded it. And I'm going to take these 2 dice, and I'm going to hope that I get either a bow or an axe on these 2 dice. And I got an axe! Yes! Alright, perfect. So, I'm going to enact my special ability. I'm going to take this axe, and I'm going to turn it into a bow, like so. And I've activated my Strength 8 person. Now, at any time during my turn, like I can, and now, unfortunately, I don't have anybody that can activate with 1 thing, and so I can't do anything with that. I didn't roll another, and I couldn't do, even if I rolled another axe, I can't do the secondary ability for him. However, if I'm worried that my opponents can activate their defender and they're not going to do, I'm going to go ahead and look at my cards, and man, if I'd had that card that I know my opponent has, that you discard a die and you get +3 strength, that would be awesome. But I'm going to go ahead and, well, I could use this special ability here where it says take 2 additional dice, roll them, pick 1, and add to your dice pool. But I'm going to save that. I'm just going to go ahead and use this one where I get to add just +2 strength. So I place that face down so my opponent knows that I have 10. Now, and remember, I didn't activate my ice giant, so I don't get to take away a die from my opponent for that. And since he's defending, even if he activates his ice giant, that won't work either. So we'll go ahead and see what happens here. We're gonna roll for the defender and see what we get. All right, so he's looking for 2 axes, a bow, and a spear. And if you can pull that off, and remember, he can flip 1 spear in your pool to any chosen, or he can add 2 to strength for each spear die that he gets rid of. So we didn't get any axes. We got 1 of those, which is never good. And we have a spear, which we could turn to a shield. And then, but I didn't get on this. Oh man, I got 2 of these X's. This is horrible. So I am not liking this at all. So I could change 1 of my spears into, well, I only have 1 spear. Man, this is just a bad roll because of the fact that I can go, well, I could go like this. Oh, this actually might work. So we're going to go like this, and this. And we're going to activate this guy, right? Because he's got a 5. We could do that in 5 strength. And I should mention that if, like, after you've rolled your dice aren't locked onto these people. So you can move them here and there after you've done your rerolls. And you can keep rerolling, but remember, it costs you a die each and every time. So, but what I could do is I could then take this die and I could activate that one as well, meaning that I've activated these 2 like so, and then looking at my die here, oh man, I thought this was the one that had the +3, but no, this one's, if you discard a die with a sword symbol from your pool, add 4 to your strength. So, oh, I know what I can do. I can take this, I can take that spear, and I can change it to whatever I want. I'm going to change that to a sword, bam, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play this ability. I'm going to play that card and put it down. That adds 4 to my strength. I have a 9 strength to the 8. Oh no, I'm still losing. It's a 10. Ah man, I thought I had something there. This is going to be one of those things where I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it off. I mean, the only thing that I could possibly do is I could spend this die and I could reroll these 2 dice, and I can hope for the best. Maybe if I get like a sword, and if I get a sword and a spear, or I get a couple of spears. No, I need a sword and a spear, because a spear will allow me to activate this, which would get me to a 7, and then I could get rid of a sword, which would raise me to 11. So, let's see here. I got 1 shot at this. Let's see what I get. Ah, 2 spears. That's not going to be enough. Oh, wait. Wait. I could... No, it's not going to work. Well, I mean, because I only have 3 cards in my hand. I just realized that as well. Because I can't use that special ability. So I can't add 2 to my strength there. But, wait a minute. I can use this ability. I'm going back and forth on this. I got 2 spears. So yes, I can do this. So I'm going to go ahead and get 2 strength from that. So I got 7. And then I'm going to use my special ability to turn that into a sword, and I'm going to discard this card. That's 11 strength. Bam! If I was this guy, I'd be so annoyed that I lost that. Okay, so now we know who won, right? So the defender won this battle. So the attacker gets nothing. If the attacker had won, they would have been able to take one of those shields away from the defender, and those are going to be worth points at the end of the game. But because the defender has won, I now as the defender have the option to go ahead and if I want to, I can say that my defenders who I activated, just the ones I've activated, they have success. Let me go ahead and discard those 2. They have gone to Valhalla. They are going to spend the rest of eternity with the gods. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these 2 and I'm going to discard them and send them to Valhalla over here like that. Once they are discarded and put down, I can't look at them again. So just try to keep them in your mind which one succeeded. But, so then I still have these 2 left for my turn. And I didn't lose any shields. Now, the other player, because they lost, they get nothing. And none of their people found glorious death, and none of them got to be sent to Valhalla. And they unfortunately have lost that battle. And that's how attacking works. The only other thing, really, there is to the game is that how does it end? The game ends when one player loses all of their shields, or you've gone through that entire deck. Once that happens, everybody gets 1 more turn, including the person that possibly causes the end of the game. So like if you attack somebody and take their last shield, you've caused the end of the game. Everybody gets 1 more turn, including you. If you take the last card from that deck, everybody gets 1 more turn, including you. So you do have, everybody gets 1 more. Then, at the end, you're going to total up your number of points you have from the warriors you sent to Valhalla, plus the bonus points for taking other people's shields. Whoever has the most points will be able to sit next to Odin and in the feast halls and be proclaimed as the greatest Jarl during Ragnarok. But there you go. That should give you a really good idea of how the game is played. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of little math crunchiness going on, as well as, how am I going to use these particular dice for these particular moments and things like that. Remember that you only have 3 bonus dice, so if I use a special ability, you use 2 of those dice and I re-roll them, there's only 1 die left. So if the other player has an ability that would get them 2 extra dice, they don't get 2 extra dice. They just get the 1 that's left. That is a limited resource. But the game is fast, it is fun, and it's one of those things where you have to kind of try to figure out how you're going to get your best guys fighting, getting them killed, so you can make sure you can cash them in. And it's always fun at the end because you can't really remember how many points each person has, and it's kind of fun to turn those cards over, total up everybody's points, and see who pulled off the victory. But let me talk about all the things I really like about the game as far as it being fun, plus all the cool expansion material that you're going to add to the game in my final thoughts. Oh, there you go. That is Valhalla. All right, so before I talk about what I really liked about the game, I mean, it's got dice, it's got Vikings, it's got brutal combat. If the combat's a bit abstract, if you will, but still, it's things that I like about these types of games, and I knew I was going to like it just because it's one of those games that you kind of have that little puzzle on your turn, whatever. How am I gonna, you saw how I was trying to figure that out. I was like, how am I gonna figure out how to roll these dice and get the dice to the spots that I want them to, and so on and so forth. But anyway, let me talk a little bit about some of the expansion material. I'm not going to go delve into this too much. I invite you to go check out the rules on the Kickstarter page. You can read all about these things. But I just want to talk about each of the expansions. There's a Loki expansion, which has these cool Loki cards. The Loki cards have on them, you'll draw one of these cards randomly at the beginning of the game. And what this is it changes what the loser of the combat gets.
And so, like, if you lose, and there's, like, you can probably see there's these differences in the strength modifier. So if you lose, by 1, or you lose by 3, or you lose by 5, or whatever, there's different powers. So, like, here, this one is, it says, if you lost by 2 or 3, you get to send one of your activated warriors to Valhalla. So even if you lose, you still get that. If you lost by 4 or 5, you get to take one random card from your opponent. If you lost by 1, you get to send each of your activated warriors to Valhalla. So there's different little powers and abilities that have that. Here's one that says if you lost by 2 or 1, send one of your activated warriors to Valhalla. Then 3 or 4 is you may add one warrior to your team from your hand. And a 5 or 6, you may exchange one warrior from your team with your hand, so you can just swap guys out. Now, the important thing to note is that when you get this far, like say you with this one, you lost by 5, and it says you may exchange one warrior from another warrior in your hand. Well, if you don't want that, you can take the lesser ability if you want to. You don't have to, but once you qualify for the higher level ones, you can go ahead and get the smaller ones. All right, so this one is and a lot of these times, like you'll notice that here's the backs of these cards, and here's the backs of the giant deck. Same exact thing. These are the Thor's Blessings cards. They kind of work a lot like the Battle Tactics cards. With the Thor's Blessings, Thor will support different players. And there's and it's tough to see, and I apologize, but each one of these will have a Thor's hammer up here, and there will either be a less than or less than an equal symbol. And so if your number of activated warriors is less than or less than an equal, depending upon the card, you can use these cards for special abilities. And once again, the Thor's support has certain things like the supported player gets 1 free reroll in this battle. The supported player gets 2 additional strength. Things like that. They just get little bonuses, and those are definitely very good. Obviously, you're going to mess with things a little bit. Now, I'm going to kind of show these two at the same time. You have the Dwarves, once again, the big giant honkin' chunk of it, and then you can see there's the Dwarves, same back, and Fire Giants, same back. These are more cards that have different abilities, different powers, different abilities. They activate different things. They're just like the other warriors, but they just add more special abilities, more stuff to the game. And I'm a big fan, as I said, like when you have games that add stuff to the game. And just, they play the game just slightly differently, and you have to, once again, just be expecting that you're going to get this. Now, the one thing about this is that when you add more cards to this deck, that does have the effect of, like, obviously that because one of the ways the game ends is the number of cards, like, going through that deck of cards. When you use one of the expansions that adds cards to that deck, you then, when you draw the cards, and you normally draw 2 and discard 1, you'll draw 3 cards, pick 1 and discard 2, and that's on everybody's turn. So that means you're going to be going through those cards faster. So another one of these things is you have these Valkyrie cards in the Valkyrie expansion. It's the one I really like. The Valkyrie cards, they have these special warriors. And they're just like any other warriors. I mean, they have a clan, they have a power, they have an activation. But the special ability of them is that for each following warrior that goes to Valhalla with this card, you get +1 bonus. And so you can actually if you can get certain cards to die at certain times, you can get bonuses. Like this guy, if he goes to Valhalla by himself, you get a +3 to your bonus. And the way you do that is that you have these Valhalla cards off to the side, and then each of these have like a little number on the bottom, and you just add that to your discard, and so you have those, and you've earned those. So that's like probably my favorite expansion of these things. Now, there isn't actually an expansion that adds another board, and here it is. This is the Odin Expansion. And the Odin Expansion, once again, gives you a bunch of these well, you're going to have like this board and where these cards are going to go onto it. And once again, these cards, these are like Odin's tributes and things like that, which will allow you to once again break the rules and do different things. It'll allow you to add dice. It'll allow you to like discard cards, things like that. So another thing that'll mess with it, and that's probably I like it because it adds another board to the game and it adds another level. But that's probably like the last expansion I add, just because I think that does add like another layer to it and adds another level of strategy to the game, which when I play my dice games, I kind of want to play a game that's kind of faster and more straightforward. Not that the Odin expansion is bad, it just kind of changes the game and makes it, like I said, more into has a little more strategy, a little more stuff going on, a little more thinking going on with each turn, which just changes the way the game is presented and changes the way for me like how the game feels, which is once again not a bad thing, it's just a different thing. Anyway, there is the Brothers in Arms, where you have a rule where you can have people team up, and so you'll have teams. Like when you have 4 people, you can have 2 teams of 2. You can have 6 people, you can have 3 teams of 2, things like that. Which something that I liked doing as well. And the final expansion to talk about here is like the King of the Hill expansion. And so the King of the Hill expansion is that like when the player who wins like the first battle, they get to, they start if there's these King of the Hill cards, and they'll place a token to show that they are at like the bottom of the hill, and then they can slowly climb up that hill as they become more and more powerful. But as the King of the Hill, like the old King of the Hill games, if you are able to take down the King of the Hill, then you take their spot, and the person who ends up at the King of the Hill, they get special abilities where they'll have extra dice, and then they'll actually, if they manage to remain at the King of the Hill at the end of the game, they'll get extra points for doing so. So I mean, it adds a cool thing where it's like if you're winning, it kind of puts a target on your back. And a lot of other people will like not only want to take you down just because they want to take you down, but also they get bonuses for doing so, which is always a good thing as well. So that's just a lot of the expansion material that you can add to the game. And these are all modular things. You can remove them, take them out. My daughter and I played with a lot of them, and we really enjoyed it. My gamer group really liked throwing the whole mess in, and we did that a couple of times, and the game was just a big, giant, chaotic fun ball. And we really, really loved it. So, but that's up to you as far as what you want to add. I mean, if you just play with the base game is just fun as it is. But it's one of those things where you can keep the game fresh. But regardless, the game's awesome. It's one of those things. I love the art. I love the theme. I love just the evocative, kind of play that kind of goes through your head. It is a little abstract, I mean, this isn't dudes on the map battle. This is, hey, these are my cards, I'm rolling dice trying to activate them. So it doesn't truly feel, but like the art is just kind of eerie enough and kind of bleak enough, and if we all read, like if you're a D&D player, you probably read a lot of like the Norse mythos stuff. That was like, for us, whenever we played D&D, we always used the Norse gods. That was one of the things that we just loved doing. And so when I played games like this, I like seeing, because the very fatalistic, very nihilistic almost way of the gods presented themselves, and like the Asgardians, like they knew they were going to die, but they went forward anyway. It was kind of a grim aspect of it, and this artwork, especially like just like the Valkyrie, like on the player mat that I had in front of me, and it's just like stuff like that. It looks super cool and looks grim and looks tough and gritty, and I just really, really enjoyed it. Plus, like I said, the game's just fun. I just love rolling the dice. I love trying to figure out the puzzle. I love trying to figure out how I'm going to beat the person that attacks me. And in a lot of ways, like, you have to attack, right, to like be successful. You can't just lay back and defend. But I mean, the defender definitely has a bonus, right? Because they know what the attacker is coming at them with. They know what they need to do to beat them. And so that's one of those things where it becomes like this weird seesaw, this power struggle. And I do like that decision of, do I attack now? Do I wait? Who looks vulnerable? Who can I go after? That sort of thing. So there you go. That is Valhalla. It is super fun. If you are a fan of these dice games, like of this genre, if you're a fan of Norse mythos, I think you're really, really going to like this. If you like variable player powers, if you like just that like they said, that puzzle aspect to each turn. I think you're really going to like it. But there you go. If you have any questions about it, by all means, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm the Untitled Viking. And I'm telling you to be awesome, to be the best version of you possibly can be. And just, remove the negativity from your life and try to remain positive. Try to focus on the things that make you happy and make the people around you happy. Because they want to see you happy and you want to see them happy. So, awesome. Until next time, happy gaming.